Hi guys, welcome along. What I thought I might do is just go over how we can sort of create this sort of really distressed out sort of textured style illustration, and we'll be largely using layer styles and a few little tips and tricks for you along the way. So this is rather a cool little project. Just before I jump into this, I just want to tell you that, or at least advise you perhaps that, brushes we can build up tons and tons of brushes, and I'd advise you all to sort of create little folders with the brushes that you need. I've already created a folder here by creating a new group for my favorites, so that any brush I make and I want to use sort of throughout the course of this little project, I can have it at my fingertips. Okay, great. I just want to show you one more thing here too, before I get started. I've got a number of brushes that I like to use. Now, here's a little technique that I'll be using throughout the course of this little video, is that once we have a paintbrush in our hand, and perhaps we wanted to erase from that area, you'll find generally that when you use the eraser, it will be a different brush than what you were using essentially. So if I had a brush here, my eraser quite typically is set up to be a different eraser. Let me just illustrate that. So here's my brush and I'm doing my painting, and if I hit the eraser tool, I've got a different brush, which sometimes becomes a little bit not what I want exactly. So here's the great little tip for you. So here's my brush, got my brush, I'm painting, and I want to erase using this exact same brush. By holding the tilde key, I'm now using that exact same brush to delete, if you like. So I'm using the exact same brush as what I'm painting with, holding the tilde key, and you can use that same brush to erase with. So that was just a little quick tip before we get started on this. So what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and set up a new bit of type on my screen, so whatever that might be. Okay, so just setting up a bit of type here, just going to smash that down. Quickly just duplicate that. Okay, lovely. Okay, so just going to scoot that down a little bit. Okay, this is going to be what I want to apply all my bits and pieces to. Now, for me to do this in the way that I want to do it, I need to rasterize these layers. So and flatten them essentially. So I need to rasterize the type, and I'm just going to merge those together. There we go. So it's just, they're no longer type, they're pixels, which is just what I want. Now what I'll be doing is applying styles to this. So layer styles essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click over here to access my styles. And for this, I'm feeling like I want to use a pattern overlay, which is, it could be anything, of course. I'm going to use a metal style texture. Wood and stone and things like that do work quite well. Probably going to want to put a bit of a bevel on this guy here. I think it's going to look good with a bit of raised profile, and maybe just a small drop shadow, so whatever you think. That looks good. Yeah, okay, we're going to go with that. One thing I find when I'm sort of building out these styles is it's worthwhile from time to time is to save those as a sort of a preset, as a style. I don't want to have to keep doing that. So if I go ahead and get my styles menu, I can add that to my menu and call it whatever I like. So essentially I can recall that at any time. So that's cool. I'm going to need, I'll just hide that out of the way for a second. I'm going to need a couple more layers here. And so I'm just going to create a couple more layers. I'm just going to fill that with anything at all. I need to have some color underneath of it for this to work, or some pixels I should say. And what I can do now is I can call that style back up, and now I've got that style has applied to my content at the bottom there. So maybe just hide that out of the way, and maybe this pattern in this instance just needs to be smushed around a little bit, something along those lines. Of course, great. Now I'm going to have another one here, maybe another one. I'm just going to duplicate that. It's just a third one, so I've got that going on now there. What I might just do is fill those full of black, because that might just be a little bit more visually, I know that there are pixels there. Alright, okay, so what we're going to do here, and what I'm going to do is just going to hide those others for the time being and jump into here. Now I know that these are pixels, it's no longer text, so I can go ahead and do things like grab portions of it and move that around, so I can start to use my lasso tool to just grab bits of whatever I feel like I want to create, that sort of cutout sort of deal, maybe here and there and here. Let's go ahead and just bust it up a little bit. I'm starting to get that sort of distress, cracked, destroyed even. There we go, that's sort of getting on the way. So you can, as I say, just grab the lasso tool and grab bits of it that you'll want to move, and you get that nice crushed, broken note, which is really fantastic, and you can start to bring that back and get this sort of idea going on here. Now I can start to use this same idea on the background, and I'm going to use some brushes to do this. Now, as I said before, I like to keep myself a little bit organised with brushes, and I've got a few that I'll be using over here. So I've got this set up here in my favourites. I'm going to use this one to start with, just to show you what this brush is going to look like. Quickly just show you what this particular brush is going to look like. It's going to sort of be this. I'm going to be spotting that here and there, and maybe trying to bring a bit of that detail back and forwards. So on my base layer underneath, I can start to paint or even erase. So I'm using my erase method here. I'll just hide that there. So I've got my ability to just spot that here and there, and I'm erasing at this point. And just wherever you think you might want to get a bit of that going on. Okay, so just we're getting this idea. Just drag it until you're getting a result. It's starting to look half alright, and you can just keep going with this. You can sort of erase some from the text itself even. So I might just see what another brush might look like. Let's maybe this one. Oops, maybe that one. So I'm erasing, by the way, now. So I'm just getting that. And actually I'll quickly show you what this brush looks like. This is the brush I'm going to be using for this part. It's like a hairstyle thing, and hopefully be able to make a few scratches in it. So just a few little bits here and there. And just get it right. And don't overdo it. Just here and there and there and here. One more brush maybe, just to finish this off a little bit. So I'm going to now, and remember, I'm not painting, I'm erasing from this layer, so I can just add in a few little nasties in here and there. And I'm just erasing. Fantastic, that's starting to look okay. So just go ahead, play with this idea. I might go back and get that guy, he was kind of good. Remember, on the type line, nice and small, play with the different brushes, you never know what you're going to get. So you just sort of play with those brushes. Let's see what's going to happen. See what's going to happen. And look, I could keep going, but I think you hopefully get the idea by this stage. So see what's going to happen by tearing up those textures. One more thing. Okay, one more thing. I'm nearly there. Just try this a little bit more. Anyway, one more thing here. I've got all my layers here. I might just quickly create another layer. I'm just going to fill that full of a colour, and No, I won't. I'm just going to leave it blank. Okay, there's nothing on this layer here. Now, what I'm going to do, even though there's nothing on this layer, let me illustrate this. There's nothing on this new layer. I'm going to apply my sort of steel distressed effect there, which is cool. So I've got nothing on it at the moment. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab a nice hard round brush. And you can see there's my little brush there. Get smaller. Make that a bit smaller. And I can paint using that texture. So I can get in here, paint using that texture, even though there's nothing else on the layer. So what I can do is I can bring these guys back. And this kind of idea is great. So you can put in a few little rivets if you like. So I can see this drop shadow is a little bit wide, so I might just quickly jump in there. I get that drop shadow and just move it across a little bit better. Yeah, that'll do. So I can add in a few little sort of rivets, potentially painting with that effect. Here and there. Bit of rivet action. Always looks good on a metal sort of surface. Or stone even, potentially. Yeah, look, that is it in the essence of the piece. So that's how we create that really distorted, destroyed effect. Look, I hope that's been of some use to you. Take some of those tips and tricks, try some of your own, experiment with textures and brushes, and I'm sure you're going to make something absolutely amazing. Alright guys, hope that helps, and I'll see you all in the lesson.